Oh boy. What do I have to say for myself? Whoo! Absolutely nothing. There was a moment that came up today where the option is I'm doing everything wrong. Maybe I need to redo and rethink everything. Or, one second. Fully committed. Two options. Oh, I said I'm a bodybuilder now. So now I need to optimize everything to be a bodybuilder. That means redoing my whole programming, not doing, things that aren't optimized right now. I need to just change everything up because it's not optimal. So that was the first option. The second option was to save myself more wasted time. I've been doing the same thing, aka switching programs, changing things up, trying different things at a detriment to myself for 3-4 years now. So how about I go back and look at the past few videos and I think, how have I been feeling? How was I wasn't complaining before I found out some new information. Matter of fact, I think I was saying how awesome everything was going. So those are the two options. Optimize my bodybuilding, lifting, even though I haven't even ever stepped on a stage yet. I just barely made the decision to start to do it. And the other option is to just go and be consistent, and maybe eventually, if I need to get deeper into the bodybuilding lore and the thing, if I do a first show and it goes well and I like it, then maybe, maybe then I could think about changing some shit up. But how about I just stay consistent? Oh, a bunch of that pre-workout got on my lips. Really itchy. Or, how about I just be consistent for a while and see how that goes, especially since nothing's going wrong right now. I have no need to change things other than an anxiety or fear that it may be bad in the future or not optimal. So, do I let the fear and emotions take over and allow me to make a decision hastily, or do I have some I don't even know what you'd call it. Do I have some pride? Do I have some common sense and logic about me and say, you know what? Maybe it's not the most optimal. Maybe I could go out and change everything, and that would, make all the difference in the world, but that would require a lot more time invested than I'm willing to give right now. And nothing's really going wrong right now. That being said, it is fucking leg day. I think there's I feel like there's this thing that I think a thing that I represent well is being someone who comes from traditionally not being raised with morals or standards or pride or lots of ego. You know, I grew up feeling very ashamed of myself and very, I don't know, as you would call beta or whatever. You know, I just, that's how it was growing up. And it's like, now that I'm growing into this person and starting to, for lack of a better term, like be more action-based rather than thinking-based, and like, you know, kind of being my own parent in a way, like my own set of parents. It's like, I don't know. I get the whole alpha sphere. You know, I get it. You know, put the nose to the tombstone and just grind. You know, it doesn't matter how miserable you are, whatever. You know, just do the things you know you need to do. Don't think about it. Don't complain. Don't whatever. You know, like. So I understand that thought. You know, I understand that, and I also understand bitching and complaining and moaning and giving up and quitting and having consequences based off of that later. So my point is, not everything for me. Yes, like, not everything has to be miserable, and I think that's true. Not, you know, because misery isn't sustainable either. A lot of people would disagree and say life is suffering, or you're supposed to be miserable. That's what you know. That means you're doing it right, or that means you're whatever. And I hear you, and I get it, but also I don't really care, because it doesn't. Not everything has to be miserable in this world. You know, there's some things that are optional. There's some levels of misery that you kind of volunteer for, and that's just my opinion. So, that being said, right, and the mentality is like lifting weights and going hard and stuff. You know, that's the context that I'm trying to allude it to. And so there's, you know, lift the weights and do whatever. Everything needs to be hard, and yes, I see that, and I also see not lifting anything and being weak and all that. You know, that's how I started out. Not everything has to be miserable, but what I found also, unfortunately or fortunately or whatever, is that I'm also capable of a lot more than I thought I was. And the only way I would have known that, the only way I find that out, what I'm capable of, is if I push myself into doing things that are out of my comfort zone, and like continually doing those things, even if I can't see a purpose, or I don't know why, or it's you know, uncomfortable, or it's weird, or it's awkward. It's like, if I'm pushing myself and I'm being uncomfortable, I think that's the point. But it's a lot easier to be, that's the place I come from. It's a lot easier, maybe not in the long run, but in the short term, to just be comfortable and stay where you're at, stay stuck, not stuck, but just, you know, stay in your little bubble, your cozy zone. Keep doing the things you've been doing forever, and things like that. So I think I'm a good example of finding my way to a common middle ground between staying comfortable, being overly comfortable to where I am not developing as a person at all. And then I'm not, you know, I used to go to the major extreme where I'm putting myself into like unnecessary amounts of misery, and calling that like, you know, calling that like pride, and calling that like whatever you call it, like building my self-worth off of how much I suffer, you know, like I've been there too. And I'm finally starting to, I think, meet this middle ground of like, let me just push myself, but also know my limits, you know, and I don't know my limits unless I test them. And I also know it's important to not rest on my limits, you know, like not rest on your laurels or whatever. Like, so that's where I'm at. That's a good rant. I'm really excited. I'm gonna try to just go for 225 because there's still a lot of ego in there. It's not as, That weight isn't going to kill me. I'm not going to hit PRs on squat, but I am going to go for reps of 225. Even if it's not optimal. So that's where we're at. I will see you in there. And that's that. Well, it was a little bit lower volume than I'm used to as far as sets and all that stuff goes, but I'm happy to report that I got the
what, 6 reps of 225. I mean, shit, I couldn't even imagine that a year ago. So I'm happy with that progress. And then busting out more reps on hack squats, and then it went pretty freaking heavy. That leg extension machine was pretty heavy for me. It felt a lot heavier than anything I've done before. So, holy, rush hour traffic. And then at the end, I did do calf raises, but no one likes to watch that. Not even me. But I went pretty heavy, 200 pounds, 8 to 12, roughly rep range. Failure for me. So I'm happy with how that little posing session went at the end. I'm not sure if I'll post anything of it, but it was mostly for me to see how the legs are developing, and yeah, part of the journey. So I think I'm gonna, I don't know, I'm pretty tired. I've been going pretty hard the past little bit, so I know that there's a lot of sleep and food and chilling out in my near future. So I am looking forward to that. I've been getting better sleep, but I don't know. Ideally, I'd like to get 10 hours after a hard day like that, but what can you do? Not enough hours in the days. So with that, tomorrow is another push day to kind of support the bench press and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, we'll just I'll just plan on catching you then.